Alright, first off, you're going to need a 3/32 Allen key. That's this one here. Got a screw in the front. And it's good to have a mat. Any kind of mat to work over, any kind of tech mat. Don't have to be first strike, but some kind of tech mat so you're not losing pieces. A lot of little O-rings and stuff. And it's so much nicer working over a mat. You don't lose anything. You can see all the springs and stuff. And it's a nice rubber surface so you're not scratching up your gun on a hard surface. I really recommend them. I can't believe First Strike, they stopped making theirs. They don't sell them anymore. They just stopped making them a couple months back. I bought all the ones they had left, but I don't even have many left. I think I have the last like 10 in existence. They always seem to stop making all the good stuff. It drives me nuts. But I got them to bring back the extension mags. Mag extenders for the 15 round. They finally brought those back. I wish they'd bring back the 10 round VKS mags. Can't believe they stopped making those. We're stuck with those big long 30s that everybody hates, including me. Alright, so 2 screws on the bottom. Those are the 3/32 Allen key. The 2 small screws on the side are 5/64 Allen key, a little smaller. I don't know why they didn't make them all the same. You would think they would have. We're going to put the grip over to the side. Now we have to take off. Now most guys take the barrel out at this point. I leave the barrel in because it helps, you'll see why in a second, get the bolt and air chamber out the back easier. You'll see why in a minute. Now I need the 3/16 Allen wrench. That will take out your back cap. Just loosen that up. Well, actually, you know what? Let me take the reg off first. 3/32, 1 screw. Now this has a little washer on it, silver washer. That's just so you don't mix it up with the other screw that goes in the back because they're kind of the same size. Now you take that screw off the reg and then you have a real tiny little O-ring on the trigger arm. Real careful with that. It's real small and easy to lose. Another reason it's good to work on a mat. You drop this sucker on the floor, you ain't never gonna find it. See how little that is? It's a tiny sucker. Alright, take that off, remove the arm. Okay, now your regulator is free to come off. There's your reg. Alright, now taking your 3/16 Allen key, remove the back cap. And look, the bolt comes right out. Now you pull the barrel out. And put your spring aside. Now this is the stock spring. We're not going to be using this at all. It's a junky little spring made for paintball. Now, if you want to see the difference, I'm going to take one out of the kit. This is the VKS spring. It's actually smaller, but much stronger. See how weak this one is, and the VKS spring is a lot thicker and a lot stronger. So just don't think because it's shorter it's not as strong, but it's much thicker metal and much tougher. This one is weak little paintball, nothing you don't want. All right. So, okay, first thing we're gonna do is mil-sig O-ring. So you're going to take your bolt off your air chamber, put that aside. Now, you're gonna wanna get like a little dental pick. I think I got this on Amazon. I'm not sure the name of it, but it's a little dental tool. But that's the kind of shapes you want. Well, you can use a regular pick or a tiny little screwdriver, but I find this to be the best. Now you want to get in there, you see the O-ring in there. Oh, there's my camera, there it is. Just get in there behind the O-ring. Let me put my glasses on. Alright. Now it's a little hard at first getting used to this. I've done thousands of these, so it's no big deal. So get right behind the O-ring with it, push it down. out of the groove and then get in there and scoop it out. That's your stock O-ring. That's a round O-ring. We're gonna replace it with a square one, which I forgot to grab. Let me go grab that. Alright, there it is. Now, see, it's a square O-ring. That means it's not rounded all the way around. If you were to cut this O-ring and look at the cut piece, it would be square. So it's just called a square O-ring. Now some people call them Milsig O-rings. People started calling them Grimberg O-rings. They're all the same. It's just a square O-ring. Alright, so put this in. You want to pinch it. Pinch it just like that. And push the first end in past the groove. Then you want to take your tool and line the top up and work it right in the groove. The top part in the groove. And once you get that in the groove, pick up the back side and just start working it in. A little hard the first time, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. Just gotta work all the pieces in and make sure it's not twisted. See that? It's in there. I've done thousands of them, so they're a lot easier. Gonna be harder for you. But just work it in slow and you'll get it in there. And if it's being a real pain, put it down, walk away, give yourself a couple minutes, go back and do it. Every once in a while I go when it's super hard, so I just stop, walk away for a couple minutes, I come back and pop it right in, no problem. All right, so that's all done. Milsig O-ring is installed. Now, I use Ultra Silk. This is the best loop going. I wish I found this years ago. I've been using it for about 6 months now, and it's just amazing. It holds up great. It's a great lubricant. Doesn't get all brown and gooky looking after you use it. And, you know, I've still got like half of this left, and I've done probably 100 guns with this. I mean, it's a little pricey. It's like $17 for each one of these little things, but they last forever. I mean, I do guns all the time. Someone with just a couple of guns, you'll have this for 10 years. Yeah, okay. So get a little on the inside, get some all over your bolt. A little bit goes a long way. Don't get a big scoop of it, because just a little bit goes a real long way. All right, and take your air chamber and put your bolt back on. Make sure it slides on there nice. It's moving real nice. Yep, there we go. And then take a little, put it on the O-rings. It's nice. It makes it slide into the gun better, so you don't have to worry about nicking up these two O-rings. Because believe me, it happens. If you're in a rush, you slam it in there, you're gonna nick an O-ring and get a leak. Then next, we will work on the regulator. We're gonna put the VKS sear spring into the regulator, and the VKS spring pad. They're both in the kit. There's a spring pad here. It's a solid VKS spring pad. Same one that goes into VKS. All right, we'll do that first. So you want to do, once again, take your 3/16 Allen key. Take out, you know, where you cranked up the velocity before, take that screw all the way out. That's where the spring pad lives. The other side. All right, that's, oh, no, in case you're wondering, that's the velocity spring. Now, take your 3/32 Allen key, you can stick it right inside the existing spring pad in there. This one's got a hole in the bottom because that's where the PRV vents. That's where excess pressure comes out of, like a little safety mechanism. But we're getting rid of that completely, and we are putting in the VKS spring. Get a little Ultra Silk on there. And drop that sucker back in. Dropping shit all over the place. And that. Alright, now take your spring, drop it back in, your velocity spring. Your velocity screw. Just get it started on there. And my hands are all slick now from the Ultra Silk. Your 3/16 Allen key. Now we're gonna max it all the way out again. We're gonna do it now while it's off the gun. Might as well. We got the Allen key in there. Now you want to crank it all the way up. You'll hear it squeak a little bit. Alright, there we go. That's full and just a little bit back. Just a little bit. Not even a quarter turn. Alright, so that part's done. Now, got to take off the side of the regulator to get to the sear spring. That's the sear spring right there, right there. It's 2 screws with the 3/32 wrench, same as the one you took apart the bottom screws on the FSC. Another good thing about these mats is keep all your screws in one place, it won't be rolling off the table. Taking that second screw out. Alright, now ready to take the plate off. Now before you take the plate off, put a little pressure on the arm, hold it underneath the reg. First time this comes off, it's always a little tight. Alright, it's off. Just lay it down to the side. Oh, rotator spring popped off. I'll just pop that sucker back on. That goes right there. That holds the rotator in, that holds the sear. Now, the arm spring is right over the top of the sear spring. So you have to take that arm spring off, the trigger arm. Just lay that down. The hook stays through there. Pull the sear out. And there it goes. You know, that's a stock one. Real flimsy. Look at that. You know, see how flimsy that is? Now, the VKS one, I can't even bend that. You know, the other one I could bend right over one finger. It's super strong, so it'll be able to handle the speed and higher pressure. Now just get the arm right over the little nub there, little angle piece there. Now there's guys out there selling fake kits, and they're advertising, you know, BKS springs. They're not real springs if they don't look like these. You know, one guy, you all know who it is, selling one of the sear spring that comes with the pack. You actually have to cut it and like bend it. So obviously, you know, it's not the real spring. You know, it's just some cheap springs they got from China. So they're not engineered for these guns. And they're not doing the right job at all, so they're just a waste of money, you know. I invented this mod about 3 years ago. I didn't expect people to, you know, take advantage and try to sell it, you know, with fake springs. But, you know, some people do anything for money. But without this modification, I remember back 4 years ago when we started with the FSC, double shots, jamming like crazy. Gun did not work out. And that's how I worked out this kit. And it just makes it work 100% better. You can ask, there's a ton of people online that'll vouch for this, because pretty much what all the guys are using now. But anyway, so okay, the sear's in there. Make sure you get it running in the nub. It'll look just like that. My little arm spring popped off, but you just hook that underneath. Let me try to show it to the camera. Let me take it off and put it up there. So here's the arm. It goes, the little hook goes on the arm. And then the round part of the spring goes over the top of the sear spring. So I'm gonna put the arm back on, a little bolt here. All right, it's hard to show you this and do it at the same time. This is the hardest part, getting that little spring over the top. Sometimes you want to put it on first and then just like this, I'm trying to show it to the camera, bend your arm back on the post. See that? Okay, it's right over the top of the sear. There you go, sits right on top of the sear spring. Now you're gonna take your plate, lay it back on there, and line it up with the little studs while keeping your trigger arm underneath. Now your 2 screws. I think these are 8/32 screws. Alright, where's my 3/32 Allen key? There it is. Alright, now it is on. Okay, now you're going to take your bolt, put it right in the back. Now, do it nice and straight, just like this. A little pressure on the top. Nice and straight. You don't want to mess up those O-rings. Get your cap. Get it started. Alright. 3/16 Allen key, tighten it up. There's no air behind this. You don't have to be super tight. Just snug it. Now, most important thing, anytime you take your regulator off, you got to push your bolt forward, or it won't set the sear for the next time you want to shoot, and it won't do anything. So take a screwdriver, your pick, slide that forward. Make sure your bolt is always forward every time you take your regulator off, or your sear will not set the bolt, and you'll have to take it all apart and do it again. Believe me, I've forgotten a ton of times and had to do the same exact thing. Now, before you put your reg on, take a little Ultra Silk, smear it on the top of your sear there, all over. Get your O-rings and your little O-ring cap. Now there's a little cap over here. It doesn't matter if it's a cap or an O-ring, they just put a cap there. It goes to the rear of the ASA. If you want to add air to your back of your gun, you're going to end up taking that cap off. But right now it doesn't matter whether it's a cap or an O-ring, because the back of the gun is plugged. So if this was just an O-ring, it wouldn't matter. No air would go through. So what I'm saying is, you ever lose this cap, you can use a regular O-ring the same size as this one and not have to worry about any kind of leak. Alright, now drop your reg back on, line up that back hole. Now you're going to grab that screw that had the little silver washer on it, right there. Drop that in. 3/32 Allen key. Snug that up. You don't have to get crazy tight. And when you're there, always check your nipple on a new gun. Make sure it's not loose from the factory. So the air nipple goes into your mag. All right, so then take your arm, put it on the trigger, grab that little O-ring, you know, got a little ultra silk left on your finger, just pop it on there like that, and just, best way is to push it on with your finger, right? Just like that. And push it all the way down. Now, if you happen to lose this, not a big deal. The arm won't come off when the gun's together. It'll just make your trigger a little looser. Basically, that's all this is doing, is keeping your trigger a little tighter. So if you end up losing it, they're hard to get a hold of, so don't worry about it. Just put the gun back together and you'll be fine. Your trigger will just be a little bit loose. All right, so now it's time to put the grip back on, but I don't want to use that grip, so let me go grab a black one. Now we're going to put a black grip on. Purely aesthetics, doesn't affect how the gun works at all. I just like the black and bronze better than the FTE. Alright, so slap that back on. Grab your rear screw, it's the little beveled one. Drops in the back. 3/32 Allen key. Snug it up. Now 3/32 in the front. Now this one you don't really need, as long as you have those two side screws in. You don't really need this screw. It's mainly just to add a, you know, a compensator or, you know, a kit, something like that. Where are those two little screws? Oh, they're on the end here. Magnetic tools, gotta love them. And this is a 5/64. Man, I wish they just make them all the same size, so you only had to use one Allen key. I don't know why they don't do that. It's really annoying. Alright, we are fully modified. Okay. Next is VKS spring. That's the last part of the modification on that. VKS bolt spring. Drop that down in the gun. Take your little 4-inch barrel. Drop that sucker in. Turn it to the right. And that's in there. And one of the first modifications you're going to want to do after this is get a longer barrel. This 4-inch, you just can't get a lot of high pressure out of a 4-inch barrel. You get some, but 4-inch just ain't enough. You'll see down the road, longer the barrel, the more power you get. That's just the way it goes. So now that it's got the mil-sig O-ring, you can fire over 35 joules with the stock. Any shots over 35 pretty much blow the O-ring out. This stock O-ring, I've had it up to 160, 70 joules. So it holds up pretty good. Ain't gonna worry about that. And we've got the VKS spring pad kit in here and the PRB delete. The main part of that kit is it adds some power, yes, but the main reason is reliability. You know, less jams, double shooting, stuff like that. It's all about reliability in that kit. It does add extra power too, but the reliability, so, you know, when you need this gun for self-defense, you want to know it's going to work when you use it. So, definitely a must-have kit. Not just saying that because I invented it, it just really is. If you want it reliable, you really got to change those springs out because they were made for paintball. Not for heavy 8-gram rounds, 10-gram rounds, and this, you know, high capacity, high speed.